This is the Fujifilm X-A7. It has a 24.2 megapixel CMOS APS-C sensor. It has 91 focus points, face detection and eye autofocus, a fully articulating flip-out LCD touchscreen, a built-in flash, can shoot stills up to 6 frames per second. It can shoot 4K video up to 30 frames per second. It can do slow motion up to 100 frames per second in 1080p. It has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity, a microphone jack. The body weighs 320 grams and the price of this all is 700 euros or US dollars. But as always, we want to know if this little camera is any good. What's happening, guys? Gary Yaman here, back at it again with a new video. Hope everybody is well, is safe and healthy and is fine. Let's begin right away with this video, this review of the Fujifilm X-A7. As always, I'm going to divide this video in several sections, and the first section that we're going to talk about or going to discuss is the design and build quality. And as you see right away, the design of this camera is really nice, and it has a nice retro vintage kind of feeling going on, and I really like how it looks. So when it comes down to looks, Fujifilm always nails it, and I think this camera looks really beautiful. But you know, what about the build quality itself? Does it feel good in the hand? Well, to be honest, it does not have any grip, so if you got bigger hands than myself, then you might feel that this might be a little bit troublesome. Other than that, you know, the build itself, how it feels, just nice plasticky. Not very high level when it comes down to the build itself. I don't think it's weather sealed whatsoever. So when you do have this camera and you are in some kind of like bad environment or bad weather conditions, I advise you to buy a rain sleeve or rain cover in order to protect your camera. Let's start from the top. What do we got on the top of the camera? We got this little built-in flash that pops up like this. Boop. Like that. So it might be very handy for some people. To me it's not, and I actually thought that you can point it upwards like this, just like a Sony APS-C camera that has built-in flashes, but then it doesn't work. So it only is like enabled when it's just like this, so only in the front. You cannot bounce the light off from a ceiling. Then we got a hot shoe mount. We got the nice mode dial and the other switches, dials, you know, that you can customize and point to something that you want. So what I really like is the aperture and shutter speed, to have that as your dials, and then the on and off switch. So that's all for the top. On the right side, we got this little door with the HDMI and USB-C ports, really nice. And on the left side, we got this switch for the built-in flash, and also a little microphone jack. And this is a very small one. You do get a adapter with it when you buy this camera, so that you can plug in any other microphone in it. Let's check out the bottom. At the bottom, we got this little door with the battery in it and a 1 SD card slot. The battery itself, when it comes down to battery life, is not the greatest, so I strongly advise you to buy at least one extra battery in order to get a full day coverage when you do a lot of photos. And also we got a little tripod mount. And then at the back, it's the little buttons here, the drive button, the play button, then this little joystick. This little joystick is actually really handy, and a menu button and a display button. Then it comes down to the screen, right? A fully articulating touchscreen. And you know, when it comes down to touchscreens, to be real honest with you guys, this touchscreen is not really responsive. When you go through the menus, it's a little bit laggy and not really responsive. So I just use the joystick, and that works perfectly fine. But when it comes down to scrolling down the photos, just swipe through those photos and you're good to go. But I think for entry-level starters, beginners, when you go to the menu system or to the settings itself, having a slower touchscreen might be more beneficial. Not sure about it, but you know, what I do find is that on the long run, when you want to change quickly between settings, using the touchscreen, it's not that user-friendly, to be real honest with you guys. But other than that, the menu system itself is very straightforward. The screen is really nice to have. I like it, how it feels and how it looks. So when you see your pictures on it, it looks really nice. And at the front, of course, the sensor and the X mount. I wish for that this camera had a little viewfinder, because using the screen, especially at brighter like environments, it can be really troublesome to look at your screen and then you cannot see anything because of the reflection. So having a small viewfinder, just look through the little window, you know, that will be very helpful to make the composition and make the photo. So let's talk about the next section, and that is the image quality for both photo and video. So when it comes down to image quality itself, you know, knowing Fujifilm and what they can produce with their JPEGs, you know, straight out of camera, as you see in the following photos, those pictures look really nice, man. I really like how the pictures are looking very natural, very vibrant, you know, straight out of camera pictures. JPEG files from Fujifilm is always really nice. It really reminds me of the Fujifilm X-T3 that I also reviewed like a year ago now, more than a year ago I think, and that was also a really nice camera when it comes down to pictures straight out of camera. Skin tones, colors, all that good stuff, really nice when it comes down to photos. So when it comes down to image quality for this Fujifilm X-A7, I really like it, and I really like just how the images are looking. Don't have any problems with it. So if you are a beginner starter and you have this camera, you will be very happy with the results. When it comes down to video, especially with this lens, maybe with a different lens, I don't have any other lenses available right now, but with this kit lens, the 1545 kit lens, for video, it doesn't matter if you shoot in 4K or 1080p, it doesn't look really that good, right? It really reminds me of that smartphone kind of look. So as you see in the following examples as well, I don't really like it. So, you know, and also this sound, the audio that is coming from the camera itself is not that nice. Even with a microphone attached to it, you know, you might want to opt for a external recorder. So, little recap, image quality for photo, really good, really nice, straight out of camera, you don't have to touch anything almost. But for video, not that good. Let's continue on to the next section, and that is the performance. When it comes down to performance, I mean the autofocus performance, but also a little bit more about any extra features that will like stand out when it comes down to this camera only. So, the autofocus performance from this camera is like a hit or miss. As you see in the following example, you will see that there is a little, like a box on a face, and you'll see that eye autofocus going on, but it doesn't really capture it. When you take the photo, it's still quite blurry. It's not really in focus. So it does detect it, but it doesn't really focus on it. Not sure why, but sometimes it does work and then it's perfectly fine. It's really good, but sometimes also it doesn't really work that well. So I don't know why. That's a little bit of a Fujifilm thing, I guess. It also occurs on a X-T3. This is what I found as well. You know, it will detect the face, but when you take the photo, it's not really in focus. As you see in the following photo as well, you see that things are in focus, but not the face. But when you look at the screen itself, you will see a little box and stuff like that. So a special feature that this camera has, and I think will be very helpful for taking self-portraits, is that it has a little feature that once it detects a face, it will take a photo. So if you put this camera, like you point it towards yourself on a selfie mode kind of thingy, you know, and when it sees your face, it will take a photo. I think it's really nice, and I think it's a nice feature to have, especially during these days, during like lockdowns and stuff like that, and you just want to take a picture of yourself. I think that's a really nice feature. And here's also a little demonstration. That when it sees your face and when it focuses on your face, then it will automatically take a picture of you. So that is really handy to have. And as you see right there, the face detection and eye autofocus is working really good. And then let's change it up. Where was it again? At the Q, and here, they got this little thing here. When that's done, it will take a photo every time it sees a face. So that's cool, man. That's really cool. And overall, do I recommend this camera? Yes or no? You know, this is an entry-level camera. So from an entry-level camera, but this will cost you 700 euros or 700 US dollars. You know, do I really recommend this camera? I do only recommend this camera if you really love the Fujifilm colors, if you really like how the images are looking and don't want to like be too much in post-production on your computer and stuff like that, then this is a really nice camera to have. But the autofocus performance for both photo and video is not that reliable, so you might want to check out a Sony or a Canon entry-level mirrorless camera, such as the Sony a6100 or a Canon EOS M50. So with that being said, you know, I like this camera, how it looks, and just to walk around with it, and maybe with a better lens you have better results, so that is also a little bit of a factor to keep in mind, right? Other than that, man, the image is straight out of the camera. It's really nice, and that's also, I think, the reason why a lot of people are using a Fujifilm camera next to their Canon or Sony or Nikon cameras, because, you know, straight out of camera JPEGs look really nice and you don't have to edit and post too much, right? So that's it for today's video. Thank you again for watching. If you got a question about this camera or anything, let me know in the comment section down below. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, good luck.